Hey, Mike, what do the plague, um, a gallon of milk out on a hot day, and Biggs when he has COVID all have in common?
It's shitty.
Things you want to avoid. Producer!
Welcome everybody to the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and Biggs, who is on assignment, and we got Schulte back here again today for our wide receiver Yahoo Leagues Avoid show. Welcome back, Schulte. How's it going, buddy?
Glad to be here. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming back. You knocked it out of the park the last show, so I decided to make sure that, while Biggs is still out of commission here, that you're ready to rock, and let's go. So today we're going to be talking about wide receiver avoids in Yahoo Leagues. I've looked at the ADP. I've done mock drafts. I've done drafts. I've done all the homework that you need for the players that you're going to need to avoid in some of these areas. And now we talked about last week some players that you're going to be looking to acquire in these rounds. We gave you some valuable information as these drafts are coming up in the next 2 weeks. We're going to do it again today. This is one player I don't want you to be drafting, okay? In unless he slips in price, okay? Now, I love AJ Brown. I love his talent, but he's being drafted as overall player 9, wide receiver 6 off the board. And I just think that it might be tough for him to, recapture what he did in 2023, where he showcases big playability as the wide receiver 1. There is some concerns that arise with his late season struggles that coincided with the Eagles' decline and changing in coaching staff. Despite consistent volume, Browns' shift in yards per catch and reliance on Jalen Hurts' passing efficiency raises some doubts for me and about his future production. So when we're talking about these wide receivers in that top tier area, they're splitting hairs. And when I'm drafting in that area and I see a guy that might be a spot or two down the line that I'm going to be holding off to get, I'm going to hold off on acquiring AJ Brown, because if you listen to my last show, our last show here, I talked about Jalen Hurts and how the passing efficiency has calmed down since Shane Steichen left them. And I think it's going to be more of the same pattern. While AJ Brown is still going to be a wide receiver 1 in 2024, I think it's going to be hard for him to get to that wide receiver 6 status with people emerging in that top range. And I'm really high on Devonta Smith, and I know people are really high on AJ Brown. And with the acquisition of Kellen Moore, there, he likes to evolve that offense, and AJ Brown fits Kellen Moore's scheme. But I'm not a big fan of Kellen Moore, so I'm going to avoid AJ Brown. And Schulte, what about you? What are your thoughts on AJ Brown and his draft price? I love him as a player, but I just think that offense is on the downslope, and we'll see what happens. But what about you? Are you in and out on AJ Brown at wide receiver 6?
Well, man, what did Kellen Moore ever do to you? That's what I want to know.
He did Justin Herbert, he did Dak Prescott, and after these guys left, that's what he did. So, I mean, yes, he can make some people good around him. Keenan Allen had a great year under Kellen Moore. There's no doubt. But look at what happened to CeeDee Lamb after Kellen Moore left last year. CeeDee Lamb had his best season as a pro, and he's now the wide receiver 1. So that is my argument there. People love Kellen Moore. I think he's the quarterback killer. And I could be, that could be a controversial take, but I don't like him in any offense he's been in. I haven't liked him since he was in Dallas, and I just think this is a really big downgrade from Shane Steichen, who, has shown he can, change quarterbacking. And I just think that a lot of that had to do with Jalen Hurts' success was Shane Steichen.
You nailed it on the head that, I love AJB the player. He's just one of my favorite players in the league to watch. Like when you just pull fantasy out of the picture, just on Sundays, you watch this dude make plays, and it's just like, damn, like he's just a fun football player to watch. I was a little, not disgruntled, but like put off by his lack of production down the stretch. Like I feel like he did a lot of damage early, and then it kind of quieted off. Am I wrong, or am I?
No, that's exactly what happened. Yeah. Okay. It was a late. They changed their coaching staff halfway through the year there, and they changed their offensive philosophy, and now they're bringing in a guy like Saquon Barkley too. I think they're going to be more run centric, and they're going to provide some opportunity. And I think that addition in the run game is going to help a guy in the slot. To me, like that helps the slot role quite a bit. And I think that Devonta Smith is going to he could be a guy that could easily just outproduce, not easily, but outproduce, and it wouldn't shock me this year. And their roles reverse because they almost happened 2 years ago. So yeah, that's just my take. It's a lot of draft capital to invest on a guy that has, shown a decline over the last half of 2023.
The other dudes at price here are also not competing with that much talent in their own offense. Like they are like unquestionably the dude. Now that's not to say that AJ Brown's not the dude there, because he still is. But I don't know. You look like even a Marvin Harrison. Like he doesn't have even close to the talent that offense has to potentially take away from him.
Yeah, agreed. Now, let's move on because I got a platform, a system that we need to get up and ready for everybody to see. And that is the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, your go-to for top-notch fantasy sports and gaming insights. Skip the noise of Twitter, Reddit. Enjoy genuine sports talk without bots, without ads. Dive into high-quality discussions and elevate your fantasy experience. We cover sports like football, basketball, baseball. Whether you're a diehard or a casual fan, there's something here for you. There's polls, league classifieds, curated content from our creators, articles, videos, podcasts. It's all in one place. Get expert advice, earn rewards, and make an impact with your sports knowledge. Join our passionate community and unlock fantasy sports potential. Visit the Fantasy Sports Advice Network and download the app and start winning. We've had a lot of great community starting up. There's a lot of great discussions in our chat group, and there's more people joining every day, and the conversations are getting a lot more fruitful and a lot more detailed, and there's some heated discussions as well. So join the network. Schulte, anything to add to that?
Beep boop boop beep beep boop. Just kidding. I'm not a bot. I bet you thought I was, though. I got you. No bots here.
Exactly. It's everything that the fantasy community is yearning for, and we're bringing it all to you. So get on it now. Now I'm going to talk about another guy here that people are, in a new environment. People are kind of jacked about. They're excited about his potential, but I'm not so sure about that. I'm going to avoid Keenan Allen this year at wide receiver 34, currently on Yahoo. Overall going as, overall player 74, and I'm steering clear of drafting him because there's some uncertainty surrounding his new situation with the Bears. Despite a standout 2023 season where he ranked third in points per game and finished as wide receiver 8 overall, Allen's move to the Bears introduces significant risks. At age 31, while he had a great year with Justin Herbert last year, adjusting to a rookie quarterback like Caleb Williams could impact his performance. Adding to this, he will be competing for targets with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, potentially limiting his opportunities and affecting his fantasy production. Allen's 32% target share in 2023 was impressive, but his new role with the Bears presents a stark contrast. The offense system under Shane Waldron is known for a slower pace despite efficient yardage production. With Waldron's track record and a crowded receiving core, Allen might see fewer targets per game compared to his time with the Chargers. The increased competition from Moore and Adunze means Allen may struggle to secure the volume he needs to sustain past successes. Given these factors and adjusting to a rookie quarterback, competing with emerging receivers, and adapting to a slower pace offense, Allen's fantasy outlook for 2024 is less than favorable. And you got to keep in mind that the Bears, they play a lot of games in the latter half of the season. And, Chicago isn't the most, glamorous place to be throwing balls in November and December when the wind picks up, the snow starts coming down. It's going to minimize their passing attack in those latter months. So these are all factors you got to keep in mind when choosing Keenan Allen. So for fantasy gamers, the combination of all these uncertainties makes him a risky pick. Did I convince you, Schultze? Are you out on Keenan Allen now?
Man, he's a guy I haven't legit not been able to make my mind up on. Like, even still, love Keenan Allen, the player. Love the move for the Bears in real life.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the crowded room is the big factor here. Like, it's nothing. It's kind of like, it's not you, it's me, it's nothing against Keenan, but it's just going to be hard to craft out that role when your role is crap load of targets. Like, that's why you wanted him in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You take away those guaranteed 10 plus targets, and all of a sudden, maybe he's not. Well, no, he's not going to be the dude we've seen. So it's tough to predict. You said what, wide receiver 34?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a back end wide receiver 3. Like, I'm pretty meh on it. Like, I'm not avoiding. Like I don't know. I'm just kind of meh there.
Meh.
Yeah.
And that's fair. And that meh makes me just avoid it because the ambiguity.
Fair, that's totally reasonable.
And in that range, I'm going to go for somebody that's got a for sure. I already know because I've got some upside plays, and at that stage, I'm looking for some stability. So, yeah,
exactly. So and if you were to show me the list of ESPN or Yahoo, whichever one you had there, ADP around him, I guarantee I'd find someone else like within the next 5 spots behind him and be like, boom, I like them better.
Yeah, because it just have a little bit more upside as far as maybe like blowout potential. So I'm going to move on to one that I think you're not going to love, but I'm going to be avoiding a Jaguar player, and that's Gabe Davis in the middle rounds, because we're talking about a middle round player here, and there's several key reasons for that middle to late round, I'm going to say, because he's still going, like, I can consider him maybe late round. There's a void that was left by Calvin Ridley when he left the team, but I think that fit is for somebody else. I've been getting a lot of, and I think yourself included there, has been hyping up some Brian Thomas Jr., and I think he fits the bill there to surpass Gabe Davis's situation, because Gabe Davis was brought in for his speed and his touchdown potential, and I just think Brian Thomas Jr. is just better at every aspect of that, and I think he's going to emerge like he's already doing. And that's why I'm going to be avoiding him this year. Now, with the new team, a new quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, there are doubts about whether he can maintain the previous level of play. Not my doubt. Some people doubt that. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to explode this year, but I think the people that are going to reap the benefits are going to be Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and Travis Etienne. I think they're all going to have solid years surpassing their ADPs. So there's going to be an odd man out, and that's Gabe Davis, in my opinion. Thomas, in particularly, is a highly touted rookie with big play potential, which could lead to Davis being pushed down the pecking order. The presence of multiple receiving threats makes it harder to rely on Davis for consistent fantasy production. Davis has a history of inconsistency, which is a major red flag. Even when he was with the Bills, his performance was marked by ups and downs, and he often struggled to deliver week to week results. This pattern could continue with the Jaguars, especially given the uncertainties around his fit in this new offensive scheme. With such a volatile track record, investing a middle to late round pick on Davis could be risky, as his performance may not meet the expectations set by his past successes. Considering the potential for rookie Brian Thomas Jr. to step into a significant role and has looked way better in camp so far, this is a big likelihood of Davis being inconsistent and competing for targets in a crowded receiving core. It's wise to look elsewhere for a more reliable late round pick. And I know you don't like me talking about your Jaguars in such dismay there, Schultze, but we're all high here on the fantasy forecast on the Jaguars. There's certain players we're really keen in on, and especially lately, the Brian Thomas hype is real, and I'm hyping on that train, so that's why I'm fading Gabe Davis.
So first of all, Brian Thomas last 2 days at joint practice with the Buccaneers has been like a real problem. He has 2 deep touchdowns where he was just completely behind the defense. One caveat here for that is some of the big plays we've seen out of the Jags offense in these joint practices probably would have been sacks in real life, because the interior O-line for them is still pretty rough. Hopefully they improve as they get some experience together, but right now it's not great. And so maybe that is a hamper for some of the deep game. But yeah, the steam's rising on Brian Thomas. But I think the gap between these two guys in fantasy and what's going to play out in real life is not as big as what the ADP is suggesting. Gabe Davis is going as like a wide receiver 5 or something like that. And he's the one who's going to be on work in the middle of the field for them. He's probably going to use deep some, but I mean, that's going to be Thomas's game, obviously.
So, I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think the middle of the field is going to be completely operated by Kirk and Ingram like it has in the past. And I think that burner on the outside is going to be Brian Thomas. And I think that, Gabe Davis is like, where is he lining up right now? Is he playing in 2 wide receiver sets?
Yes, he will be on the field pretty much all the snaps. And I mean, like when I said middle of the field, I mean like intermediate stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So I think there's still going to be usage here and some solid targets, but I don't think it's going to be anything insane. But for his price, I'm still drafting him way down here. I think there's definitely some upside, like nothing crazy, but like for some pop, he definitely has upside for pop games, like you mentioned. He could be the dude that goes out there and wins you a week on his own, which could be.
But you'll never know when to put him in your line, and I don't want any of that in these late rounds. I want somebody that either is gonna be a consistent stud. Like I'm gonna try and pick a guy that right now has got the potential to be a starter or have that upside to win me a league because of a consistent production, or someone that is just very consistent. I'm not going to go for a best ball kind of love guy like Gabe Davis, who I'm not going to want to have any sort of indicator. And I'd be a lot higher on him if Brian Thomas wasn't around. But now that even but now that even complicates things even further, so that it even gives me less indicator on when those spike games are going to be. So I'm just going to let somebody else try and decipher that and have him on their bench when he goes off.
I think the real problem for Davis and Thomas both is that no matter how you slice it, assuming health, they're going to be 3 and 4 on the pecking order. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that creates a problem for both those dudes. But Thomas provides the explosiveness that the volume doesn't need as much. So I don't have a problem with either of these guys, I guess, where they're being drafted. And I mean, especially for how much I'm in on Trevor, like you mentioned, you got to like some of that has to correlate to his dudes. And I think where they're priced, I'm cool with them.
All right, man. Well, that's about it for today on the Fantasy Forecast. Thanks, Schultze, for joining in again. Remember, everybody, to like and subscribe to our stuff. Follow us on the FSAN website. Download the app and get on the website, because it's ever evolving and it's killer now. So from all of us at the Forecast, we hope you win.
We hope you win.